Well, hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Summer Spotlight 2020. Hi, my name is Gayle Nicholson. I am your host, and I am so happy to see you here again today. This is amazing. I can't believe we're still going, and we're still loving it. We're getting a lot of responses back. If you're watching, please give us some likes. Please subscribe if you're watching this on YouTube. We are really loving the YouTube channel right now, getting a lot of activity over there. So please do. And we will go right into today's guest. Today, I have the honor of having licensed clinical social worker Tami Kiekhaefer on the show today to talk to us about women and relationships. Thank you so much for being here today, Tami. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me on your show.
Oh, absolutely. It's my honor and pleasure. So, one of the things that really excited me about talking to you is the angle at which you come at women in relationships and what we can do to stop reinventing, you know, the rack, so to speak, the flogging wheel that we put ourselves into over and over and over again. Because there does seem to be some sort of thing going on beyond language, beyond what we're conscious of, that determines who we're attracted to, even in their personality types, even when that doesn't make us the happiest,
Mhm.
right? So I
Very
want
true.
to bend your ear about what is it that you bring to the table and what you offer women to help break that cycle.
Sure. I've been in private practice working with adults, women, men for about 20 years now. And over the course of time, working with couples, working with males, females, and I noticed this pattern of of people just being unhappy in their relationships over and over and over again. And it seemed like the ultimate outcome would be people saying, I there's just no good guys left out there. There's no
Mm-hmm.
good women left out there. There's no, I'm going to be single for the rest of my life. I can't make a relationship work. What's wrong with me? And so going over the process of what we put ourselves through for year after year after year, um, I wanted to come up with something that could was a streamlined process to help people really understand that it actually starts with you. It's not so much to do with people outside of you, it has to do with you. And, I have been through my own relationships in the past, and I was married for 12 years. And after getting divorced, I just thought, what is happening? Something has to shift. And so in the combination of what I was dealing with and what I was helping my clients deal with, I came up with a course, and it's a process where it brings you from your past experiences all the way back to what your family roles are, understanding how we attach, understanding personality styles that come out of that. And it's not that your personality can change a whole lot, but the more you know about yourself, the more you can work with what you have. And so
Mm-hmm.
trying to help people really understand what it is that they are working with helps give them a map of how to navigate um, who they already are and where they can change, where they can make little shifts. But I actually put myself through the course basically, and that's how I developed it. And I feel like I'm looking at the world out of a different lens, and I think that the energy that you put out there is who you end up attracting. So when you're healthy and stable and connected to what you want and you need, you end up meeting people who are exactly aligned with you. And that's when I'm now engaged, and I've been together with my fiance for about 5 years now. And yeah, I believe in this so much. That's why I am so passionate about it,
Mm-hmm.
because I know that it works.
Excellent stuff. And you are proof positive that there were so many things going on in my head at that moment when you were talking about this. But it's what I'm seeing from over here, right? Is first of all, it's not that there's, all the good men are taken, right? It's that you, from where you're at right now, are only attracting men that aren't necessarily the best for you. And by personal development of ourselves, we can get to a place where we're more healthy and stable and start attracting an actually different type of person. So I love that. And I'm one that has done enough personal development that I get the difference between responsibility and blame, right? Do you run into that misunderstanding when you're working with your clients where people, some people take that in and they go, oh, so I'm to blame for all this? No, sweetheart, you're responsible for causing something better, right? So how do you come at some of your clients, I'm assuming, that may initially run into it from, wait, this isn't my fault, I didn't do anything wrong, to get them to where they can shift?
Great point. I think that when you're in negative relationships, attracted to the wrong person, a lot of times what comes from that is rejection, abandonment issues that get brought up, and that'll zap your confidence in a nanosecond. And so I think that as people's confidence goes down, they do start to feel that self-blame, that self-deprecation, the what's wrong with me, and then with that lack of confidence, then the person probably gets out there and continues to attract the same unhealthy type of relationship. So when I'm saying that it starts with you, it is so much about building up your confidence, feeling empowered, feeling like you have control over your own life. And when you have that sense of control, what comes from that is self-respect, knowing what you want, being able to communicate what you want. A big part of what I'm teaching is boundaries and figuring out how to have healthy boundaries with people. When people really suffer from lower self-esteem, they tend to set very loose boundaries. And so there's a lot of compromising of what it is that they really need and want, because they're just wanting somebody. And so it's like, I don't know who I want, maybe I'll choose you. And what comes from that is typically not a very healthy connection, not a healthy foundation, and then it just kind of snowballs from there. So confidence, empowerment, I think that those aspects are so important, and so that's what I teach a lot of.
Yeah, it's interesting because when you talk, I can see myself and my own progress, right? Through what you're talking about. And I remember, but back in high school and college, I mean, if you expressed interest in wanting me around, well, that was enough. I was going to serve you forever, and then it shifts into, different stages. For me, it kind of went from, you like me, there's something wrong with you. Right? And things, you progress as you go on, but I agree with you when you don't have that self confidence, when you may have suffered through quote unquote daddy issues, daddy wasn't available, daddy wasn't around, there's a lot of recreating unavailable men, and that type of thing. So awesome stuff. Now, all of those things that you just mentioned are great tools to have. I want to talk about this women's relationship toolkit that you talk about. Tell me all about that, because that sounds awesome.
Okay. So yes, on Facebook, I've got a free group for women. It's called Relationship Toolkit for Women, Finding True Love, Not Regrets. And that is the name of the Facebook group that women can join. And I've got, it's a great community. I think that people join there to be inspired, to be validated, to know that there is a way to make shifts. We do a lot of, I've got a unit section where there's some videos and some teachings. and then posting. I try to post at least every day, sometimes every other day, of just little lessons, little techniques, tools to try. From that came the Preparing for the Jungle, which is the course. Did you want me to get into that?
Yes, absolutely. Go right ahead.
Okay. Sure. So from there, that's where the course kind of also developed, was trying to get a way to help people really streamline what it is that they're working on. And so we go we dig deep, and it's, this course definitely is not for everybody. They've got to be willing and able to do the work. There's no magic pill out there. There's no easy button to push. So it's for women who really are ready to do the work, who are really ready to be finished with this cycle that they're in, ready to do things differently, ready to really put that effort in. Right now, it is a 7-week course, and each week we'll do a module. It'll be run through a Facebook group that's an inner circle, so it's a private group. And then it also includes 5 more additional weeks of more tools and coaching, but also some question and answer, so that I can offer a little more individual attention.
Awesome.
Yeah. And so the 7-week module, it basically, if you think of it as kind of a flow, it starts from you're going back to your family roles, going back over your attachment styles, personality types that can develop from that. And then we move into how to communicate and how to resolve conflict from ways that you grew up with, and then what's working, what's not working, making those shifts. And then we get into evaluating past relationships, and then we work on figuring out, issues around past relationships, and then moving into what really makes a healthy relationship, identifying the difference between healthy and toxic romance and intimacy, the foundation of a relationship, coming up with things that you need to have on your checklist in order to get out there. And then it's time to go cast your net and give it a shot and practice. And then we come back and talk about your experiences.
That's awesome. Awesome stuff. That, I honestly, that sounds really, really good. And there's an awful lot of people that I know that probably could use such a process, right? Because so many, whether it's men or women, I mean, we get stuck in the same dynamic, honestly, right? You've seen that in counseling both men and women through their relationships, and I believe you mentioned that you were a marriage counselor at some point, or a relationship counselor.
I still am.
Yes,
I still am. Yeah.
So, but I think that it's just really, really helpful to have somebody who can help you through that. That's not necessarily your best friend, because your best friend is going to take what you've told them about him and be on your side ready to defend you, as opposed to helping you pick it apart and go, okay, he might have been right about this part, and can you know what I'm saying? Sometimes
right,
the best friend is not the person to help you through this. They may be the ones, if you want to go on a midnight tire slashing spree, but they're not the ones for this.
Right. Yeah, that accountability piece. And I guess that's part of the work, is every single week, like, where are you with this? What did you do? Tell me how that worked out for you. And so people who sign up will know every single week, I've got to do some work and report back.
Yeah. Yep, absolutely. And God, does that ever make the difference in actually getting things to shift, because you're focused on it, and there's somebody going, okay, you're going to need to report to me about this at this time. So you make the effort to do that, I got to tell you, just having this show, right? Doing this show every day kept me from going into the depths of depression in this pandemic with the lockdown. Because I get real quiet, I get real small, I get real in one spot, and I don't even want to get out of bed after a while. But having something to report to, whether it's a counselor or a responsibility,
absolutely,
it makes all the difference in the world. Now, tell me about the Holy Trinity of successful dating: self-confidence, self-respect, and empowerment. How did those work together to actually have you find happiness?
Well, I think that when you are not confident, you're second guessing yourself, you're doubting yourself. I think, especially women, we've got an intuition that is, I'm going to say 99% of the time spot on. And I don't know about that other 1%, but it's spot on when you're not confident, when you second guess what your gut feeling is telling you, and or you talk yourself out of it, you justify it, you rationalize it. And so part of improving the confidence is believing in yourself. And then with the self-respect, that's where you can step back and really identify what it is that you want in a relationship. How do you want to be treated? How do you want to be listened to? How do you work through your conflict? How do you get super angry and out of control? Can you stop and actually take a step back and listen to what the other person is talking about? And so with self-respect, when you respect yourself, you almost command a respect from somebody else. Not that you can make someone respect you, but when you are so firm and in your own belief, you come across very firm, but also compassionate. And so you're not throwing those fighting words out. But you're also not a doormat where people can walk on you. And so I think that being empowered and having that self-respect allows you to demonstrate that confidence that you can eventually get back. I think we all have it in us. It's just sometimes it gets bogged down by all the other stuff going on out there, and you forget where it is. And I love when I'm working with people and they cross that line to where all of a sudden they're like, oh, I did it. Guess what? And I think that that's contagious when you start to demonstrate that self-respect and that confidence and feeling empowered. It feels so good and it works. It makes you want to keep doing it. It's classical conditioning. It's positive reinforcement.
That's awesome.
Pavlov and his dog.
Right. Right. This feels good. Let's do this some more.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. You know what? I think honestly too, it comes out in your aura, like you're saying, when you've got that self-confidence, right? It's not like you've got a barrier up, but you still have this shield of don't come at me like that. It won't go well.
I'm not going to settle.
Yeah. If you want to visit this world, then you need to step up your game. Kind of thing. And that is we are in desperate need of that. Many places in the world right now.
And I think that people they find that it's so much easier to do it in a healthy way versus they work against themselves when they keep doing the same thing over and over and over again. Yeah. It's like, you're making it so hard on yourself. And I know, because I was there, I understand those moments when it's like, why am I doing this? What am I doing? And maybe you don't want to face it. You don't want to, maybe you don't know that there's other ways of dealing with it. One day turns into a week, that turns into a month, that turns into 5 years. And I think you just kind of get used to a bad relationship. Like you get desensitized to it. And then over that course, your confidence goes down because you keep second guessing and compromising yourself. So a lot of times it's just, it's time to make a move. It's time to do things differently. And when you're ready, and you know it. You know when you're ready.
Absolutely. I want to dig a little bit deeper into the healthy and non-healthy styles of arguing, because in my experience, one of the things that it took a third party for me to understand is that my voice can have a certain quality to it. And I am fluent in sarcasm. I am fluent in edge. I am fluent in tone, right? And I had to finally recognize and realize when I'm in that moment of arguing, right, that the very tone of my voice or my inflection is triggering my partner to defend himself in such a way that he can't operate outside of that. He can't be compassionate. He can't be listening because he's reacting to my tone, right? So, and I'm sitting over here going, it's just my tone. I'm angry. Of course, I'm going to sound like that. But when you can take responsibility for, okay, now if I can shift how my tone is, that unlocks him from having to only have the option of defending, right? Then maybe he can be responsible enough to shift into listening, and we can resolve this a little bit better. So I think it's very, very important for people to understand that it's not just sometimes, it's a horribly unhealthy thing to throw ashtrays. Yes, you're right. but at the same time,
but does it happen?
Yes, it does. But there's subtle levels of, I call it the dance of demons, because my partners and I would get into arguments that was literally, it was like two other entities fighting with each other and us going, how do we get out of this? Or part of me going, I know that I am screaming and yelling and freaking out like a banshee, but I really need you to just hug me right now. And they're not going to come near me when I'm like that. So, there's a lot of subtle stuff. What do you do? I mean, I totally get that as a licensed clinical social worker, all the ways of healthy arguing and non-healthy arguing. What do you do to get into the little subtle things, the darts that couples are throwing at each other?
So I've always said communication is 98% of a relationship. I think, and there's so many aspects to it. If communication is kind of the umbrella, there's so many different offshoots that come from communication: body language, tone, presentation, validation, then nonverbals. So I think that it's really important to understand what your communication style is. And it's what we grew up with, until you get to a point where you say, okay, here's what's working for me and here's what's not working for me. But if you think about it, communication is underneath all of it. We all just want to be heard. We want to be listened to. And so naturally, if you say something and the other person doesn't hear you, you go, oh, well, maybe I need to tell you again, and maybe I need to tell you louder. So you start repeating yourself, and then you start getting louder and repeat and get louder and repeat. And really, ultimately, you just want someone to say, oh, so here's what you're trying to tell me. And all of a sudden, it's just you feel like, thank you. That's all I needed. I didn't really need to throw this ashtray. I just needed you to hear me. But now that I have your attention, and by that time, forget it, because the defenses are up. The conversation is over. Nobody is hearing each other as they're talking to each other. And so I think with conflict resolution, it is an absolutely necessity for a relationship to work. And I can tell when couples have come through my practice and they come in and how they handle conflict, for me, is a direct determination if that relationship is going to work or if it's not going to work. And so, and typically when they're coming to me, their conflict resolution skills are kind of in the tank. So that's a lot of where we start, is how can you, and sometimes it's just creating a trusting environment to be able to talk. Because like you're saying, if you are, you've got your claws out, it's like no one's going to come near you because it's terrifying. And so a lot of times, taking a time out and getting yourself together, and there's a whole process with timeouts that I dig into. But creating that trusting atmosphere to be able to be vulnerable, to put your guard down. So, and sometimes just putting your guard down means, okay, I'm going to put my stuff on the back burner so that I can hear what you have to say. And it's a really tough thing when you're like, I think the intention a lot of times is, no, you don't understand what I'm saying. So if I can just tell you, then you'll go, oh, Tami, that's a great idea. When really they're kind of doing the same thing, and I'm doing this and they're doing that. And then here's just the clash.
Right.
So I think that the intention is trying to explain yourself, but when both people are explaining themselves at the same time, it's just
No one gets
impossible to
hurt.
hear.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. That's a really great way to put it as well. Now, when people sign up for your course, I mean, there are miles high and miles deep of different types of dynamics that can go on in relationships. And of course, no one can handle them all at once. So,
Mm-hmm.
what specifically do they get to deal with inside of the course that you're offering?
So basically, I've got a workbook
Yay!
that I mail out to people, and I'm a paper pencil person, so I always like something to actually write in. And I also suggest that they have a journal that they work on as well to just elaborate. I mean, they can do a PDF and download it themselves if they want to, but so anyway, in the workbook, we do touch on all of the areas that I was telling you about, from past to present to where you're going from here.
Mm-hmm.
And it's there's some tough areas that we'll be talking about. And so that's why I like the Facebook, the Inner Circle group, because it allows me, I'm on the group as a coach, but it also allows me to have my therapy mind on, to where I can see, are you needing a little bit extra? Is this really triggering some things for you? And then I will help you get in touch with a counselor, not myself, but somebody else,
Mm-hmm.
wherever you are in your state. Most therapists are doing Zoom sessions right now, but I don't, we're digging into some stuff. And so, if there is something that becomes triggering, I am letting people know, reach out to me immediately, and we'll get you connected with somebody who can help you.
Excellent.
So yeah, because you're right. Everybody's got a different situation. Everybody comes from a different past, and a lot of times we've got our past in this neat little box with a really pretty ribbon on it, and we set it right over here. But when you start to really pay attention to some of these issues that we'll be talking about, that bow gets unraveled and that little box explodes, and it can catch you off guard.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to make sure that no matter where you are in your situation, I actually have somebody who's married that's going to be in my group, because she wants to figure out where she is in her marriage. She wants to figure out, how is she doing? How can she improve herself so that she can be even happier with her husband? So it's kind of a combination. It's for people who are not even out in the dating world because it scares the hell out of them.
Mm-hmm.
There's people who are trying to get out there and on Match and Tinder and Hinge and all those dating apps, and they're just, I'm helping them kind of navigate. What are you finding? Let's evaluate these profiles. Let's take a look at what pops out at you, these red flags. And then, like I said, there's people who are married that, wanna get their marriage right again. And yeah.
That's good. That's good. I do find that, even when you find the person that seems to be the love of your life, right? It's not until the glow wears off and you have, an argument that's based in security issues that may even be, from before you learned how to talk, that you start to really see the fighting style of your spouse, and you may be years into the relationship before that really happens, where when their essence is threatened, how mean do they get? So I props to the lady who's married that's going, okay, so where are we at? I mean, I'm not suggesting that there's anything wrong with her relationship, but to keep working on your relationship, because just the dynamic itself changes over time. You're, I, 6 weeks before I got married to my second husband, I did a transformational coaching program. And then we got married, and about 3 months in, he's like, "You are not the woman I proposed to. What happened?" So we learn new things every day, and we grow, and that changes the relationship itself. So, like I said, props to the married lady who is still looking at, how can this be even better? That's really, really phenomenal. Awesome stuff. Now, I absolutely love the name of your little giveaway here. there's a there's a bit.ly in the comments of this post for you to go and get it now, and it is the 10 blazing red flags and how to spot them. Everybody should have this. This is freshman class 101. Here you go. Tell me about that article.
So the reason why it's the blazing red hot flags is because there's so many times that there's a blazing red hot flag right in front of you and you're like, nah, that's okay. I'm really, it's not really that bad. Maybe they're just having a bad day. Maybe I'm tired. Maybe I'm stressed and hungry. I don't know. So
I can fix that. No.
I can, thank God I'm in your life, because guess what? You're going to be such a better person. So yeah, and I think that being able to identify those red flags are so important. And because, man, if you can justify and rationalize anything, red flags are something that we are so good at, of feeling like it's not that big of a deal. And it's not that when, depending on the degree of the red flag, it's not that when you see this in a person, maybe you're just now starting to date and some of these things are popping up, it's not where you run for the hills immediately. You might call them out on it. You might say, gosh, I wasn't real excited the way that you were talking to me just now. I didn't like it when you took that tone with me. When you just said that to me, it kind of gave me a zinger in my stomach, and I'm paying attention to that. What's going on? What makes you feel like you can talk to me like that? So that might set them back enough to go, whoa, God, I didn't even realize that I did that. I'm going to work on that. And if you see that they are working on it, if they identify that it's a problem, if they own it and are accountable, it means that I think that everybody can change. Otherwise, I wouldn't be in the profession that I'm in. That I think that they have to want to change. And so, yes, I think that being able to identify these red flags, I think that it takes a lot of courage to discuss these red flags with the person who you're with. And it helps you, again, I think that goes back to what you were talking about, the self-respect, the feeling empowered, the confidence, because then you're trusting your gut feeling to say, that one didn't sit right with me. Let me figure out what is it that was triggered in me. Is this one of my absolute deal breakers? Is this something that I want to talk to this person about? Or is it something that I'm sort of putting out there and attracting? So you can do a lot with these red flags, but they're pretty important. And I always suggest for people before they go out and date to identify what these red flags are, because the minute you meet someone, that's where you rationalize it, because wow, that person is just hot. So forget it. I can deal with this. And that chemistry thing kicks in, and you can end up compromising yourself real quick.
Yeah. Yes, you can. Awesome. All right, so I want to encourage all of our viewers right now to go ahead, use that link, go get that article from you, and then in addition to that, follow Tami's Facebook group, the Relationship Toolkit for Women. There's gold falling from the skies in there, okay?
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
I also have a Tami, because that group is for women. And so I do have a Tami Kiekhaefer LCSW #counseling page.
Yes.
For people to, if you want to get in on the page, I had to separate. I did have a group that was men and women, and I had to separate that. So I'm working with women right now, and eventually down the road, I am going to have a men's group and the same type of program available for men. My head was going to pop off my shoulders if I tried to do both.
Right.
So, yeah.
All right. So guys, you go over to the other page, which, say it again. I'm looking for it on my notes.
It's Tami, Tami Kiekhaefer, LCSW #counseling.
There it is. Okay, great. Yeah, guys, go there. She'll have something specifically for you soon. And ladies, go over to the Relationship Toolkit, because there's already stuff just floating down from the heavens there that you could utilize, and who knows, by Saturday night you might have a hot date.
You just might. A
Could
healthy one.
happen. A healthy one. Exactly. Awesome, Tammy. Do you have any final words for our guest today?
I think just knowing that you can change. There's change that's possible. You don't have to stay stuck. I think part of it can be intimidating to make changes in your life. It takes one click. Just start the process. Just be open to the process, and I'm more than happy to help guide you through that. And I wish you the best.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, we wish you the best as well. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you, Gayle.
You're very, very welcome. All right, Facebook, have fun. Have a great week, and we'll see you again tomorrow. Take care. Bye. When you open your energy, work makes that recovery progress so much faster. That recovery is possible. You do not have to live as a victim until your last days. You have unbelievable strength, and I know that because you're still here. Do you want to create something completely unrecognizable with your life? I can show you how.